My name is Mark Brand. You are listening to Better. I'm a social impact entrepreneur, so I build businesses that are in service to the greater community. So Better was formed to be a tool for everyday advocacy. I think anytime we take people's attention, we have to give something. Folks, welcome back to Better. This is our new format. In between interview weeks, we are going to be having these discussions that are really a little bit of a dissemination of what we've just got to listen to prior to you getting to listen to it. They say never meet your heroes, but after talking to this guest, they are never more wrong.
We've given the people money, we've given the people sustenance, and we've given the people support in the same way that they've given us.
Too often we're taught that achievement is a solo pursuit, that success is about getting ahead, staying ahead, and making your mark. But what if the real measurement of greatness isn't how far you go, but how many people you bring with you?
It's our job and duty to fill in any holes or any gaps that we see.
Our guest today embodies that truth.
Everything about this company reflects America. The world that we live in America is Black, white, Asian, Latina. So it's important for us that people are seen in power positions within this company.
This one's about more than success. It's about significance.
We believe this company is going to be one of the biggest food companies on the planet in the next 20 to 25 years. I'm telling you right now that we don't care about your past. We all have a past here. We're concentrated on the future.
Yesterday's episode was so big, and yes, I said yesterday. Usually we record these directly afterwards, but we needed a moment to sit. Because going into this interview, my expectations for a legend of this stature are extraordinarily high. Really unfairly high, to be honest, right? I'm expecting much more than a human being. And, Bun B gave us 10x a human, which was exactly what, I had hoped we would be able to share with all of you. But beyond the music, which the man revolutionized hip hop for the South, he put it on the map. He's done features with everybody from Beyonce and Jay-Z to Outkast, a hilarious story about 365 Mafia not being able to be on one of the songs. But all of his resume has led him towards community building. He shows up so heavily for Houston and in Texas in general. And to be able to hear the stories of him being a professor, of him moving to teaching and to losing his best friend in his right hand, who was part of the duo UGK, who's still being featured on songs. Drake put him on a song not but 5 or 6 years ago, Pimp C. These guys are legends of legends. And ultimately, they say, don't meet your heroes. They really say that. And as somebody who's got to play with a lot of rappers who I aspired to and loved from a distance, they're absolutely correct. A lot of folks are no thicker than what the veil is of songs. And Bun, you'd be so
nice
lucky
guy
to have him in your family. Madi, how was the interview for you?
I loved it. I loved his perspective on everything. I thought it was just very insightful and something that I wasn't used to hearing. But yeah, he talked a lot about how much being a good man means to him. And I never really thought about that. That wasn't something I've ever really, I don't know, you don't think about that in your everyday. And so when he was talking about it, he was so passionate about it. It was this is what he wants. And you just listed his amazing resume, but he just wants to be a good man. And I think that is so inspiring.
Yeah. Well, as one, we do think about it a lot. We do. It's more of a walking in integrity. And particularly if you haven't been raised around groups that have that and how people move, you're the distillation of everybody around you, right? So Bun speaks specifically about family, about who he was around, about the paths he could have taken. And now he's just so excited to be a granddad. Now, I don't want to date the episode and be he's happy to be a grandpa. And Bun B just talked about being a granddad. He didn't at all. He mentioned it, but he really, what Madison was saying is talking about walking in integrity and the legacy that you're going to leave as an entrepreneur, as a community member, as somebody who's extremely approachable. Even though Obama's got him on speed dial, he's that guy. And so it's really beautiful modeling, particularly from the rap community, where it's, guns, violence, jewelry, cars, women. That is the entire focus and what's portrayed forward, bar a couple of artists. It's so lovely to see somebody who came from that life directly, rapped or wrote about that life. That was his entire thing, to modeling, hey, you can move past this, you can mature past this. And yeah, it was special, Madison.
Yeah, and why did you think it was so important to bring him on to better?
I mean, I think what I just said is part of that, which is hip hop is a genre, right? And since I was born, it's been around. And it, as a genre, is the biggest genre in the world. It is the biggest cultural influence on the whole planet. And this is something that started with using break beats or pauses in between records and people rapping into headphones in New York, and has become this giant cultural phenomenon that has been able to move and shape how we feel, how we think, how we dance, like how we dress, Pharrell is the head of Louis Vuitton. Like hip hop runs the planet. And so when you think about, if you take one part of that hip hop family in the South, Bun B is the guy to point to in the center of that. So something that I'm so passionate about, of course, hip hop music and music in general, but everybody is touched by, whether your favorite rapper is 18 and on SoundCloud, it doesn't matter. Like the genre itself, why it matters, how it can move things, how it can propel you forward. I think through artistry is always a vein that we tap into with the show, right? Like how I created my life based on the design that I wanted. I want to live my life in purpose and service to people and creating third spaces and having radical inclusion for everyone. And I get to build those spaces all over the world. But music actually set me up to be in a place where I was able to do that. And so I think it's so important, especially for young folks, to say, there's so much noise out there, but if you dedicate yourself to your craft, if you show up in integrity, if you move with honor and hustle, this is what's possible.
Definitely. And I mean, going off of what we were just talking about, I mean, it's not just about music too. He talks about business, family, community was a big part of his upbringing as well. He was very passionate about that. So what part of his story did you find hit the hardest for you?
I mean, it's so hard to pull it out, right? Like all of the pieces he
Yeah.
hit. I teach as well. I've been very, very fortunate to be an adjunct lecturer at the University of Southern California and taught some weekends at the D School, and continued to teach from stage and in design sprints. And listening to him talking about education and the system as a whole probably hit me the hardest, because we're made to be little regurgitation monsters for like 9 years, right? Like all we do is read and regurgitate. And often what we're regurgitating is not the truth, right? It is a false history that's been sold to us and told to us. And so I think that part of the show really hit me the hardest, because often I feel like isolated in those thoughts. Like I know that we have them and I can go on social media and find other people that have them. But I think for it to be called out so much of like, until you get to university, until you get into that space, teachers are amazing. School is an incredible
Right.
place, but what the curriculum looks like or your ability to be a free thinker in the traditional school system doesn't really exist. So as somebody with some neurodivergence, you really being related to in that way, I felt super seen and heard.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
also an opening, I think, for people to understand what the importance of a secondary education actually is, where you can discover yourself and start to be more you. So I loved that part. I mean, I loved all of it, but I love that part.
Speaking of university and all of that good stuff as well. I mean, I just graduated college not that actually, yeah, almost a year ago. um thanks. What do you think the new generation who maybe isn't familiar with Bun B, what do you think they need to know from this story that you just had with him, or this conversation that you just had with him?
Let me use an analogy. My grandfather and my father and my uncles told me so many things as a man, growing up, that I ignored immediately, right? Like, you don't know, you have no idea what my life and my experience is like. As I got older, I realized that wisdom comes from all ages and all forms. And the more of it I had, the easier it would be for me to operate in the world, right? Even selfishly, like, oh, if I can fast forward the 40 years that this person's put in, so they know A, B, C, D, E, like that's going to help me exponentially understand my place in the world and how to move within it. And everybody's like, well, the world is so different now. These problems subsist. When Bun and I were talking about
Right.
history, like in the sous chef with Sean Sherman, like we talk about indigenous history, when we talk about all of these things with Michael Shake and war fronts and like the way that culture is erased, none of this stuff is new. It's cyclical, right? And it goes in this exact cycle. And so I think anybody of any age listening to this is going to be able to pull out relatables, more importantly, pull out wisdom. Wisdom is so hard to come by because we live on social media, and it is just flat out copycatted tropes, redesigned and reposted for likes on and reels that look
Yeah.
identical to each other, and everybody's doing the same thing. And originality seems to be further and further away from us. So you will learn. I mean, he created a sound. Who creates a sound? Like there's a whole sound. Him and
Right?
DJ Paul and Juicy J and like these guys, like they created a whole sound that persists to this day. Like it's still there and people, aspire to be it. So I think originality in a time of duplicity is something else that like really, if you're young in particular, you have this inherent feeling of something you want to do, but then you're looking at all these boxes
Yeah.
to tick of if it will be accepted, and the only acceptance you need is right here. Like it's just right
Right.
here. Like you
Yeah.
really genuinely, as somebody's been doing art their whole life through building or business or music or whatever it is, you don't need anybody else's acceptance or cosign because somebody in these 8.5 billion people is going to really love what the fuck you do.
That's so reassuring too, because like when you are a fresh grad, you get your diploma, you smile for the pictures, and then you're like, okay, now what? You're constantly like grasping at straws, looking for mentors, looking for people to look up to. And you get flooded on your feed on social media. You get fed all of this information. And I think it's so comforting to have somebody like Bun B on to kind of give an optimistic perspective on what can be done.
Definitely. And I mean, think also about the story that we heard about the floods and, people dying in their homes and being afraid to leave. And like, it's crisis is going to just come faster and more furious. We're told all the time, right? Like, oh, there's going to be more of this and there's going to be more of that. We are incredible at normalizing. Like, as a species, we're really, really good at also innovating to meet disaster. And then when he was saying all that, I was thinking exactly that. Like, there feels like even me on socials, like the algorithm has taxed us so crazy, right? And I'm not going to be one of those old heads that just complains about the algorithm because there's no point, right? It's the
No,
free tool that we've been using for 13 years is doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is get us to either pay for it
totally.
or follow its rules. It's its app, it's not ours. And so
Yeah.
in
Right.
this, like, how do you express yourself outside of 4 or 5 platforms? Lovely that somebody is listening to this or tuned into this on one of them right now. They are tools and tools only. They are not real places. And so I think he really shared, and what we share consistently, right, is we build brick and mortar places for you to visit. I was thinking about the Nook
Right.
on Gottingen today that we took over in Halifax and how we're working. Like, we have Vancouver in our window here, and then we have the cafe on that side. So coast to coast, 3,000 miles apart, we have these venues that are helping people who are directly in the street and are entrenched or in poverty. And on the East Coast, of course, with our incredible partners, East Coast Credit Union, who've like supported us building this space and iterated with me to create real things in the world. Real things where you can go right now. We could, hang up this thing and you could walk up there and have like a delicious meal and like spend
Yeah.
time,
Literally.
but you'll watch the community interact with it as a safe space for them to be, and also to be nourished and to be fed. And so your art and your design comes out in all these different ways. And for mine, it's like finding these beautiful spots that we can ignite with like passion, with excitement, with nourishment, with opportunity. And I get so excited because Bun's working on restaurant stuff now too. His Trillburgers chain of two, but it's helping people
Yeah. Which sounds
so
awesome.
good, right? He's getting people hired from reentry. He's getting people out of recidivism. He's creating opportunities for people to see themselves in the work, which is what we do. So I got so geeked out about that. And you're like, there are people, why I share all this, there are people like you, no matter what it is you do out there, some of the multi-platinum award-winning rappers, which is a really nice cosign. And you have
Right.
to look for your people. You're not going to find them scrolling.
Amen. Like,
You got to be in it.
say that
You got to be out in the
again,
world.
right? Getting off your phone, I think, is one of the biggest first steps people my age can take from what you just said.
You got to remember that these things are designed to keep your attention. Like, if you remember nothing else, just know that like when you open it, it's not your fault that you are stuck there, because it's designed specifically to analyze every single thing you do and keep you in there. And so making conscious efforts to like be outside and be amongst folks and like organizing to meet them outside and do the thing. COVID hit us hard. Socials doubled down and got us even worsely addicted, So we're there. And so I think one of the major takeaways from this interview And it's not a like hate your phone where it's never oppositional. We love technology.
Right.
Like I wouldn't be able to do any of my jobs without these things. I wouldn't be able to share any of our information. It's about having a healthy relationship and boundaries with it. And then also understanding your place in the world so you don't miss it. It feels like years go by much, much quicker now because of our sort of engagement. We get up, we check our socials, we do the thing. 2 hours are gone. And if you just do the math on that really, really, really quickly, it's 720 hours that you lose a year if you're only on there 2 hours. A year. No, that's 20
Crazy.
days of your
That
life
actually is
every year,
insane.
20 full days, 24-hour clocks. So it's more like 40 full days that you're losing to social media. And so you choose it, right? Like you either choose to be in it or you choose not to be in it. And it's hard to, and because it also, we're very isolated. And I think we talked about this as well in connection. We are the most isolated generation, I say this, and most connected but disconnected generation that ever lived. I say it over and over and over again. Because I don't just mean, I mean X all the way down. I mean boomers. My dad's on IG. You know what I mean? Like all the way down. Like we're all having this
Right.
really toxic relationship with it. And we have the ability to control that and move out and do really important things in the world. So if anything for this episode, I took away like, I'm so excited we have so much motion in the real world with all of our partners and all of our friends. And I'm doubling down on that, right? Like just continuing to move in the real
Right.
world to help people in the real world.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to wrap this episode.
Yeah, it's so exciting, folks. Like I can't wait for you all to listen. And what an honor to have Bun. So thank you for, as always, for holding that
Right?
space, Madison. It was a joy.
Of course. Thank you, Mark.
I'm Mark Brand, and you've been listening to Better.